Was my manager.
She trusted him with her life savings.
He said each paycheck you will have to give in $100.
But was she scammed by the boss?
I never got my money.
How are you, ma'am? How you doing?
Don't ask me how I'm doing. Where's her money?
I told them the money, I do not owe her anything.
Judge Judy.
She went to tell everybody on my job that I was a thief and I'm still...
Sandoval versus Alvarez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
And you were working at the same place where Mr. Alvarez was working. What do you do for a living?
I was a server. First, I started as a hostess, and I ended up as a server.
And what about Mr. Alvarez?
He was my manager.
Now, you decided to join an employee program, but not an official program, for savings.
Yeah.
Tell me how it worked.
It's kind of like something to save money. The person in charge gets 10 people together. And Johan right here was the person in charge of it. He got 10 people to participate. Then after you get the 10 people to commit to it, you get numbers, you put them in a cup, everybody gets their number. Each paycheck, you will have to give in $100. The first time you put in the $100, number one gets $1,000. Next paycheck, everybody puts in another $100, number two gets their part of the money. I was number 11. I was the last number in it because I was planning to save my money to purchase a car.
So he was in it too?
Yeah, he was number one.
He was number one?
Yes.
Did we all draw at the same time?
No. He said since he was the person in charge, he will receive his money first, and everybody else got a number. Actually, with me, I requested number 11, so I know that by the end of it, I would have my money, and I didn't have to go back and finish paying anybody.
And how much money did you put in?
$1,000.
But you quit your job before you had actually accumulated $1,000.
Yeah, I actually quit when I was, I believe, in number 3. But I also talked to him, and I told him I will be responsible enough to bring the $1,000 every date that it was supposed to be.
You mean $100?
Yeah, the $100.
And did you do that?
Yes, every time.
Who did you give the money to when you came back each week?
Okay, the next two numbers, he was there when I went to go drop off the money.
Yes.
So I gave him to him personally, and I asked him, since I don't work here anymore, for my safety, in case any problems happen, I would like you to sign my paper every time I give you the money.
And did he do that?
Yeah, he signed 1 through 5, all the times that I showed up that he was there. But after the 5th time, I believe he started getting weekends off, which was the days we were supposed to turn in the money. We got paid on Friday, so you would have 2 days after that to turn in your money, which was Saturday or Sunday. And then after that, I would go to the restaurant and just give it to the person personally, because we had a list, and I knew exactly who was next and who was supposed to get the money, so I would go and give it personally to the person. But when it was my turn to give the money to, I talked to Johan and told him, when can I go pick up my money? And I never got my money, so I went on Sunday.
Well, what did Mr. Alvarez say when you said, I want my money now?
Oh, well, actually, this was his excuse. He told me, Soma, you know what? I'm having problems with the money. So I told him, I understand problems happen. And he actually gave me his word that 100% that he was going to have it for the 29th. Which
29th of what month?
April. Actually, I showed up on the 31st, 2 days after. And I asked him if he had my money. But he had called me already, which I didn't check my voicemails, telling me he had a problem. So I was like, oh, man, we just...
Well, what did he tell you the problem was this time?
He claimed that he got pulled over by the cops and that he didn't know he had a restriction order, for his arrest, because something had happened with his license or something, and that they took him into jail and he had to pay a bail out of $1,000, which he had to use my money to get out. So I said, that's not my problem. I need...
How are you, ma'am? How you doing?
Don't ask me how I'm doing.
Okay. To begin with, when we joined this saving, everybody was aware of it.
Don't tell me what everybody was aware of. Where's her money?
I told them.
Where's her money?
The money, I do not owe her anything, okay? I told her, and I begin with, to everybody, whoever's going to quit the job is not going to receive the money. I'm not going to be responsible.
Just a second. Okay.
Okay?
So, shh, please, don't speak. Now it's Mr. Alvarez's turn. So let me take your hands off your hips.
Okay.
So let me understand. You say that you explained to everybody
Exactly.
that you say that you explained to everybody that if they quit the company, they lost their money. Is that what you say?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Sandoval was told that if she left the company, she would lose her money.
Right. I was.
That's what you...
Right.
Is that
That's
what you just told me?
Yes.
When did you leave the company?
I think I don't have the exact date, but I believe it was after the third number. Actually, it was a day after New Year's. I remember.
So the beginning of January 2005. Yeah. When had you started to put in your money?
I started 11/26/04.
Do you get paid every week or every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. So what we're talking about is the entire month of December, which is when you would have put in your money.
Yes.
Minimally 2, maybe 3
around there.
times you contributed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct so far, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now let me see where you say he signed off on the money. Well, Mr. Alvarez, you gave her what amounts to a receipt for 5 payments.
Yeah, exactly. I told her.
Shut.
Okay.
Mr. Alvarez, let's recap what you just told me, sir. You told me that you explained to Miss Sandoval that if she left the company, she would lose her money.
Right.
She left the company after putting in 3 payments.
Yes, we had a
I'm
talk.
speaking.
Okay.
But then you accepted 2 more payments from her after she left the company, sir.
Yeah, because we had a talk.
No, we didn't.
Just a second. Well, now he's changing it, you see. Now he's changing it.
I'm not changing it. I did not finish. You didn't let me finish what I
You finished enough, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
They were peeing on her mattress.
We do not know that for sure.
Listen to me, sir. You know why I know that for sure? Because I don't think she peed on her own mattress.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Salma Sandoval says former co-worker Johan Alvarez scammed her out of $1,000.
Mr. Alvarez, are you trying to tell me that you never said to Miss Sandoval, because it's very easy for me to figure out,
Cool.
and it's very easy for me to find out by picking up the phone and calling the police, that you never said to her, I got pulled over by the police,
Sure.
and I needed $1,000 in bail.
Yes, I did.
Now, why in the world, Mr. Alvarez, would you tell her that you needed $1,000 bail if you didn't have her $1,000?
I had the money with me, okay?
No. No. Now we're getting somewhere, madam. Go ahead. You had the money with you.
I had the money, and I told her when I did call her, I said, I'm going to set up a day with you so I can give you the money because I don't want nobody to come to my job.
Just a minute. So now you acknowledge that she put in $1,000 to the savings plan.
No, I'm not acknowledging it. She was giving the money to somebody else.
I don't care who she was giving it to, sir.
Well, she wasn't giving it to me.
I don't care if she was giving it to you or not. The money was turned over to numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It was now her time. She has turned in the money so that everybody got paid in full $1,000. Now you've got the $1,000 and you get pulled over by the police.
I did not have the $1,000 with me. I told her that I was going to be responsible to give the money so we could get over with it. Because she was calling me on the phone and harassing me. She went to my job. She bring the boyfriend out there that she has. She bring him to try to fight.
Did you use $1,000 for bail?
No. Not her money. It was my money.
Just a second.
It was my money.
No, it wasn't.
It was
you
my
got your
money.
money already.
No, it was my money. Okay, so...
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, ma'am.
She's telling me the truth, that you told her, I had your money, but I got into trouble and I needed to use the $1,000 for bail. She didn't make that up, sir.
Your Honor, I did have money on me. Okay, I did not have to use her money. The only thing was she was coming to me. She was harassing me on my job. She went to tell everybody on my job that I was a thief and I'm stealing
You
money.
are. You took her money.
Then,
You are. You took her money.
ma'am, and then she didn't stop that. She went to the president of the company to tell him.
Good for you.
Sure did.
Good for you.
Exactly.
Because he
To
told
tell him-
me
and then,
that he
and
was
then
going
the
to lend
president
them
of
the
the company
money.
called me and said, get it over with. I don't want to hear it.
And I'm telling you the same thing, my dear.
And then
The first person who got paid this $1,000 was who?
It was me.
And the last person that's going to get paid this $1,000 is her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew he was going to try to lie. He lied to me. more than 5 times.
He went to try to intimidate me, I guess.
I didn't threaten him. What I told him was he needed to cough up money.
I feel like he didn't try to scam me, but he got caught up in a way where he wasted the money, he had no way of paying me, so he had to find different excuses.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Krill versus Sheets. Step forward, please.
19-year-old leasing agent Jennifer Krill is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old sales associate Christopher Sheets, for damage to their apartment and for his share of their security deposit.
All right, Ms. Krill, let me see if I understand what this rental situation was about. You were doing some part-time work in the leasing office of an apartment complex. In exchange for that, instead of giving you a salary, they gave you an apartment.
Correct.
And you decided that you would supplement your income by bringing in a roommate, Mr. Sheets,
Correct.
who I assume you knew from someplace,
Yes.
right?
Mutual friends.
And he would pay you a small amount of, like $100 a month.
Plus $50 a month for utilities.
And then he would pay the security deposit, because there was a security deposit of $300.
Yes.
And he moved in. He said, that sounds like a great idea to me. He gave them a check for the security deposit. And then, according to you, there was a misunderstanding. Mr. Sheets says that he had heard that you were bad-mouthing him, whatever. He didn't want to live there anymore. He moves out. And it is your claim that the $300 check for the security deposit bounced, that he did some damage to the apartment and some damage to your personal property.
Yes.
Mr. Sheets does not address the bounced check. And yet, he acknowledges that he caused some damage to the apartment.
Correct.
And says to take it out of the security deposit.
Yeah.
So, let's cut to the chase. Where did you get this $300 check for?
At the time, my father and I had agreed that he would pay $300 for the security deposit.
And you wrote a check.
Correct.
What happened with that check?
My father and I have been disagreeing with each other lately, and then finally he said, I've had enough of it, and canceled the check.
So what you're telling me is your father stopped payment on the check.
The check had already been cashed, and I had been informed that by the leasing agent. My dad had reported it stolen or forged.
Because you...
Oh, just a second. Here we go. Now it gets more interesting, because this is the only interesting part so far of this case.
Yeah.
Your father reported the check stolen?
Correct.
And forged?
Correct.
So he wanted you arrested?
Well, he didn't want that, but he wanted to get it settled.
He didn't think that she forged the check?
Yeah.
Right.
You forged the check?
It wasn't... I didn't forge the check at the time.
He said that you forged the check.
I had turned in a check in his name, correct.
How did it end up that they no longer have $300 of the security deposit?
They should still have it. When I called the apartment complex manager, I told her that I wanted my security deposit back. She
Let me see. Can I
continued to
see
tell...
that, please?
This
She
is the
continued to
check
tell me.
that has stolen and forged on it, and he forged his father's signature. I actually talked to his dad.
Oh, I see that the bank marked it
Yes.
stolen, do not present again.
Correct. His father called the bank and canceled the check that he forged.
Correct. I'm not denying that.
So that the rental company did not cash the check.
We cashed it, and then we got it back because obviously we can't have that money
So they
anymore.
gave the money back to him?
Yes, they had to.
I
because
see.
he did not sign the check.
Okay.
Jennifer Krill says ex-roommate Christopher Sheets damaged their apartment and her personal belongings. Jennifer claims Christopher punched holes in the walls and ruined her mattress.
Mr. Sheets, you're no longer living there, so you don't have to pay the security deposit.
Correct.
Let's start with that. Don't say correct. I'm giving you a gift here, sir. But you do have to pay for the damage you did to the apartment.
Which I had explained to the leasing agent that I would take full responsibility for the
Fine.
damages that I had done.
Good. What did you do?
I had put a hole in the wall. I had also put a hole in the door in my room.
That sounds like a lot more than $300 to me.
It was $25 a hole is what I was told by her.
You have a bill for the damage that he did to
Yes,
the
I
apartment,
do.
please, Miss Krill.
And then I also have this.
Are you talking to your father now?
No, we have not spoken in over a month.
This is for the security
$120,
deposit.
Spring Lakes Apartments. That's what you owe for the holes. And then, from your... Oh, well, this, listen to me. You're going to pay your own security deposit.
Okay, I was just giving that to him.
That's fair, right? You're there, you pay the security deposit. He's going to pay for the damage you did. Now the place is damage-free. Any other damage you caused while you're there, you pay for.
Yes.
I'm a reasonable person. Okay. Now, Miss Krill, you claim that Mr. Sheets damaged some of your property.
Yes. When I got back to the apartment, about 2 in the morning, with my friend Katie here,
Had there been an argument?
Yes, actually, he called me on the phone, on my cell phone, and he's yelling and screaming at me.
What is he yelling?
You know, how could you talk crap about me, da-da-da.
She was saying that you were living sort of off of her?
Correct. She was taking full advantage of her having the apartment for free and using it against me.
Using it against you by saying you're living there, you weren't paying enough.
Right.
I get a rent-free apartment, but I am working 20 hours a week for it, and he pays me $150 a month and pays for food, and that's not a bargain.
So you were saying he got a bargain?
Yes.
And you took offense at that?
When she uses it against me is when I took...
How did she use it against you?
Ruining my reputation between friends.
By saying what, Mr.
Just talking trash behind my back. It happened several occasions.
All right, now you're not living together anymore. Come on, fill me in. It's late. I have things to do.
Well, he called me yelling on my phone. I went back to my apartment with Katie, only to find him and his friends throwing things down the stairs. There's mattresses, bed frames, boxes everywhere in the road. One of the neighbors in my apartment building.
Stuff.
Yes, his stuff. They called the cops because, you know, there was a whole bunch of commotion. And I tried to go confront Chris. I'm like, you know, what's going on? What's happening? He doesn't even want to talk to me. He's like, I'm moving out. That's it. Da-da-da. I'm like, okay. Can't stop him.
Can you tell me, please, what property you allege that he damaged that belongs to you? He already has to pay $120.
He urinated on my mattress, which was about $400.
Well, how do you know it was him?
I have pictures.
That's not my question. How did you know it was him?
Well, he was moving out all the stuff with two of his friends, so, I mean, he had the problem with me.
Let me see.
These are all the pictures.
So what you're claiming is it was either Mr. Sheets or one of his friends?
Yes.
He took all the food in the refrigerator?
Yes, everything.
Get over it. What else? I got the mattress and the holes.
I mean, the food, but that wasn't in the charge. That's the main things.
Let's talk about the mattress, Mr. Sheets.
I did not do that, Your Honor. I did not see anybody do that. I was out going to get a truck when I came back.
Were things being thrown out of the apartment, your things?
My items, yes.
Your items.
They were getting it out as fast as possible.
What time of the day or night was that happening,
It
Mr.
was
Sheets?
about 2:15 in the morning, I do believe.
Well, sir, so what you're telling me is at 2:15 in the morning in this apartment complex, you're throwing things down the stairs. There are other people that live there, is that right?
Correct.
That's not very mature, Mr. Sheets.
They were moving the things out while I was going to get a vehicle to take all the things to my new...
Well, you selected people who were not very mature to
I
do
agree.
the job, right?
Yes.
And if you select people that aren't very mature to move you out, and they are acting in an immature, rowdy fashion, whose responsibility is that?
Mine.
Right on. And while you were out getting a truck to take the stuff out of there that they were throwing down the stairs, you know what else they were doing? They were peeing on her mattress.
See, we do not know that for sure.
No, listen to me, sir. You know why I know that for sure? Because I don't think she peed on her own mattress. Listen to me very carefully, sir. When you invite people to do a job and you don't supervise them, and you do it in an irresponsible manner at 2 o'clock in the morning, you have to assume the responsibility for everything bad that happens. How much was the mattress?
About $400.
What do you mean about $400?
My father bought it for me about 2 years ago.
Will you find another one for $200? Anything else, Miss Krill?
Yes, ma'am. He also urinated on about $100 worth of my clothes that were laying below my bed.
Where are they?
They're not with me anymore. I threw them away.
$320. Get over it. That's all. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Pardon's very soon. You step out.
I'm just disappointed in him because he was my good friend, and he was immature enough to do that to me, and it really hurt my feelings.
When she started ruining my reputation is when I had to get involved with it.
I'm just happy now that it actually happened because now I know what kind of person he is.
Well, I thought we were really good friends at the time. I just don't think we're made out to be.
Terrell Taggart claims ex-fiancé Travis Miller owes for false allegations of assault, money taken from a joint bank account, and his share of wedding expenses.
Miss Taggart, you and Mr. Miller were engaged to be married. You have a child from a previous relationship.
Yes, I do.
And the three of you live together.
Yes.
There came a time when that engagement and that relationship terminated. You were in the process of planning a wedding, and it is your claim that Mr. Miller owes you for a whole host of things. First, false allegations that he made with regard to an incident where he claimed that you bit him and assaulted him, emptying out a bank account that was yours, not giving you property back that belonged to you, and wedding expenses that you paid for. Mr. Miller says he doesn't know you a dime. He also paid for wedding expenses. He says that the allegations of assault were absolutely true. He doesn't have any property that belongs to you anymore, and he really wants you to move on with your life because he says that his life has been made unbearable by you and your family, who have embarked on a constant course of harassment, including filing of multiple lawsuits.
Yes,
so
Your Honor.
far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, when did this blissful relationship commence?
We got engaged on September 16th of 2005.
Were you living together at the time?
We didn't move in together until the next month.
You moved in together in whose home?
We rented an apartment together, and we both signed the lease.
And when was this argument that terminated the relationship?
The argument happened on May 10th, which was 10 days before the wedding was supposed to happen.
Is that when the assault allegedly took place, sir?
Approximately, Your Honor.
Not approximately.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You want to tell me what happened, Miss Taggart?
Yes, ma'am. I had gone to Morgan, where all of the wedding arrangements were to take place, to finalize the cake and the
Flowers.
and the flowers. I called him at work and told him I was going to be going, and he didn't want me to go.
Why didn't you want her to go?
Well, because, Your Honor, I wanted to participate in the, the formalizing of this wedding.
Then he told you that.
No, he did not tell me that.
What did he tell you?
He just told me that he didn't want me to go, and previously he'd told me that he didn't want anything to do with planning it, that it was my wedding and I was in charge of planning it.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I went to him, called me several times, and it was very upset. And
Well, what did he say to you when he called?
He would just yell at me. He was mad at me because I talked to my mother about how he was upset with me. He didn't want me to even talk to my mother about it.
Miss Taggart, I'm not getting a full picture. After you spoke to him on the phone and he was upset with you, did you call your mother?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Why did you call your mother?
I called my mother because when I talked to him on the phone, I was very upset, and I just wanted to call and mostly have somebody just help me calm down so that I wasn't so upset. I was going to finalize wedding plans, and I didn't want to have tears running down my face when I was doing it.
Go ahead.
I finalized the wedding plans, and I called him when I was on my way home, as he'd asked, and he said, well, we'll just talk when you get home. And so I got home, and my son was asleep, and so I took him to bed in our bedroom.
How old is your son?
He's 7 now. He was 6 at the time.
If he was sleeping, where was he sleeping?
He was asleep in the car on the way home.
So you went to finalize the wedding plans with your son?
Yes.
And when you got home, you put your son to bed in your bedroom?
Yes.
Is that where he usually sleeps?
Yes, he had a bed in the front room, but he'd often come and slept in our bed.
It's not an answer, Miss Tackett. 7 years old, they're supposed to sleep in their own room if they have a room. When he slept in your room, where did he sleep?
He would just sleep in the bed. I laid him in there because I knew that Travis and I were going to be having a conversation, and I didn't want it to wake him. So I put him to sleep in our bed. And Travis was standing by the bathroom door when I got home. He gave me a hug, and I went and I sat on the couch in our front room. And a few minutes later, he came and he sat down in the chair across from me. And he started asking me questions, and something about like $1,600 missing from the bank account. And I told him it was just all finalizing wedding plans.
Did you have a joint checking account?
We did. He was put on the checking account 2 months prior to this.
And you were working at the time?
Yes.
Who were you working for?
I was working for the Huntsman Cancer Hospital.
And you?
Yes, I'm employed for the state of Utah for JJS, Juvenile Justice Services.
Okay. So you were each depositing your checks in the bank?
Yes,
in this joint bank account? Okay, go ahead.
And so it started to get heated. He started yelling at me about all sorts of things. I remember I was holding a pillow sitting on the couch, and he stood over me, shaking his finger at me, telling me that I was weak and I was worthless, and he couldn't even believe he was attracted to me. And then he asked me to leave, and I was okay with that. At the time, I was fed up with the fight. I was ready to be done with the fight. And so I said, okay, I'll leave. And I went to go back to the bedroom to get my son. And Travis had been drinking prior in the evening. And Travis said, you're not taking him with you. And I said, he's my son, and he's going with me. And I tried to get past Travis to go get my son, and he pushed me. And he did this repetitively. He pushed me into the wall, into the kitchen table, into the couch, down on the bed, down on the floor. And I did the pushing and shoving match for a minute, and then I said, you know what, I'm just going to call the cops. I grabbed my cell phone, and I started to dial 911, and he grabbed my phone, and he threw it across the house. After that, I went out, and I was kind of freaked out. I stood there for a second, and I decided that I had to get my son. And so I started to get violent with him. I did bite him on the upper left chest. I believe I bit him on the right forearm. I punched him, I kicked him. I was doing everything I could to get my son out of that house.
Why didn't you just go outside and call the police?
A moment of confusion.
Okay.
And so I started to get violent with him. And he said, "You're not taking him, he's my son." And I said, "You're not to him." And Travis then began to cry. He sat on the floor, and I tried to get past him again to get my son. He then grabbed my legs and threw me to the ground. When I got up again, I started punching him in the top of the head, and I finally got past him. Well, he ran into the bedroom following me, and the fight had escalated, and we were now in the bedroom. I didn't want my son to wake up, and so I laid on top of his ears. I covered his ears so that he wouldn't wake up.
All right, Mr. Miller, you want to tell me, please, your version of what happened on the night of May 10th?
Yes, Your Honor. While Ms. Taggart is emotional, the events that transpired, yes, I'll take it. I'd gotten off work around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I wasn't drunk. I called to pay my cell phone bill, our cell phone bill, over the phone. And I knew from the day before, because she told me she would like to go do some wedding things, and I asked her, can I go with you? I don't go alone. I said, I got up at 4. Prior to this, I called the cell phone company, and they said, no money in your account. So I got home, and I was a little upset, sober, not drunk. And we did have an argument. Her son was sleeping in our room, and if we did have such a horrendous fight, he would have woken up in the first place. She did assault me. I didn't touch her. She could have called the police at any time. I did ask her to leave at that time because she was emotional, and that's about how it transpired, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Taggart, so let me explain something to you. Let's deal with the false allegations of abuse. There were no false allegations of abuse. You lost your cool, and you assaulted him. That's it. You bit him. You bit him here, you bit him here, you bit him here. I'm not sure whether I believe that he struck you and abused you, because if he did, the police would have arrested him. Did they respond to your home?
They did not. I actually tried to file a police report several times within the following weeks. I went to the desk, and the officer at the desk didn't care. They just shrugged me off.
Okay. There were many ways you could have handled the incident that occurred in your house on the 10th of May. You chose the most inappropriate one. Most appropriate one is if you're having a fight with him, and if you were emotional, which clearly you were, it's not the right time to take your son out of a sleeping bed. There's no question in my mind that Mr. Miller was not going to hurt your son. So you go outside, you cool off, you call your mother, you call the police if you have to, say, I want to go get my son. But what you don't do is you don't bite him and kick him and scratch him and punch him, and then go inside and put your hands over your son's sleeping ears so that he won't be awake. That's stupid. You agree with that, don't you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Well, then that's your problem. Because that's the right thing to do if you're a reasonable mother. Your daughter is emotional. She's your daughter, isn't it?
Yes.
Your daughter is emotional, and the truth of the matter is, on that day, May 10th, based upon what she told me, she did the wrong thing. She went to finalize wedding plans. He asked her not to go, to wait for him until he got out of work. She went anyway. There's no question he got upset with her. Instead of resolving the issue, she calls her mommy. Certainly, that's not the way two grown-ups are supposed to deal with their wedding plans. Your daughter got emotional. I don't believe Mr. Miller was drunk. I don't believe that for a minute. So, let's deal with the bank account. You say, Ms. Taggart, that Mr. Miller emptied the bank account.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
On what date did he empty the bank account?
It was the day immediately following the fight. It would have been May 11th.
How much money was in the bank account?
There was probably about 350-ish.
What do you mean 350-ish? Show me the account.
I don't know if I have the exact statement for that month.
Well, then I'm not interested in that part of the lawsuit, madam. That's what you're supposed to have here. Miss Taggart, if you come to court and you're suing because you say that he emptied out a joint bank account, what you have to bring is you have to bring proof of that. And that would be the bank statement for when he closed that bank account, how much money was in it, and it would also show me how much money was in it the day before the fight.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have that?
I only have the bank statements up until April, so I do not have that one.
Not interested. Okay, so empty out the bank account you don't have any proof of. Wedding expenses. Who was planning the wedding?
I was, as he had told me to.
Who was paying for the wedding?
I was, out of my income tax return.
So?
So that is where I come with the opinion that he owes me at least half of that.
He doesn't. There has to be an agreement. In the event that Mr. Miller said to you, which of course he didn't, I am going to pay for half of the wedding, then that's a contract. But Mr. Miller didn't say that to you. What you want is you want half the wedding expenses because there was no wedding, right?
This is right.
But that's not the way the law works. There's nothing in the law that gives you the right and gives me the right to say to Mr. Miller, well, it didn't work out and you should pay for half the expenses. That's a different kind of court. It's a court that doesn't exist in this country. Now, what property do you allege that you left at his house?
There is a mirror that was given to me as a Christmas gift from him. He would not allow me to take it because he said it matched the bed that his father had given us as an early wedding present. There's an anatomy book that I like to refer to for work. It's a very expensive Gray's Anatomy book. Just a few little things. I had gone to his house.
Not interested in a few little things, madam. I'm waiting. So far, I have a mirror and a book.
Also, since the bed was given to us as a mutual gift from his father, I believe that I deserve half of the cost of the bed.
Got to get over it, Miss Taggart. Got to move on, Miss Taggart. Didn't work out. Didn't work out.
Terrell Taggart is accusing her ex-fiancé of false allegations of assault, stealing money from their bank account, and unpaid wedding expenses.
Okay. Did you buy her an anatomy book?
I did, Your Honor.
Do you have it?
No, Your Honor.
Where is it?
About 3 days after she had left, my house was burglarized, broken into, coincidentally enough.
When you say the house was burglarized, what was taken?
Everything from couch, TV stand, television, all appliances, the mirror, blankets, you name it, it was burglarized.
Got it.
Okay.
Miss Taggart, you have to get over it. Move on. Put your hand down. Don't encourage her. Encourage her to move on.
I have encouraged her to
Good.
move on.
Good. Move on. It's over. Find somebody else. Devote all of your energies to something else. It's finished. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Linda Banks is suing her neighbor, Herbert Robertson, for accidentally shooting out her windows with a BB gun. Herbert claims he's a better shot than that.
Miss Banks, Mr. Robertson is your neighbor, and it is your claim that he shot out some windows in your home with a BB gun.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Robertson, while he acknowledges the fact that he was shooting his BB gun, said that A, it's impossible for the gun to have pierced the windows of your house because it would have to go through a bunch of trees, and B, it would be impossible anyway because he's a very good shot. And he was shooting at squirrels, and he knows that because he's such a good shot, he would not have missed and damaged your property. Those are your two defenses. Is that right, sir?
Pretty much.
Tell me where I'm wrong. I like to know where I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, I might miss on occasion.
Oh.
But, like I said, we're in front of the big tree, so...
Okay. Miss Banks, have you had any trouble with Mr. Robertson before?
Yes, I have.
With what?
About 5 years ago.
Stop playing with that, please. It's distracting me, and at my age, nothing should distract me when I'm trying to work. Yes.
Approximately 5 years ago, Your Honor, he installed a pool improperly in his backyard, and that pool ruptured, and the water came down my backyard because he lives here and I live here, and approximately 19,000 gallons of water came into my basement. And what I did was I asked him to come over to survey the damage. He did, and his comment was that it wasn't that bad. But because we're neighbors and I tried to handle it civilly, I settled with his insurance company for $1,200, and there was a lot more damage than that, let alone the time. And I asked him to just help me clean it up, and he refused to do that. This time, when I discovered the damage, I said I wasn't going to let it go.
Since the incident 5 years ago, I assume that the relationship between the two of you has been strained.
Yes.
What date were you shooting at squirrels, Mr. Robertson, when Miss Banks came over and told you you had damaged her windows?
Oh, she never did.
Who did?
I did. This guy. I mean, I was out in the backyard one day, and he hollers at me and says, you know, you shot my garage window. I said, well, I don't know if I did, but if I did, I'll replace it. He says, don't worry about it. I just wanted you to know about it. And so ever since then, we quit shooting the BB guns.
Well, when was this, sir, that you told him he shot out the window?
It was the third week of July. His son was out shooting and actually shot over top of my head.
How old is your son?
16.
Don't you know that you could hurt somebody with a BB gun?
If you hit somebody, it'd probably sting.
Well, if you hit him in the eye, it could blind him.
Probably could.
If you hit him in the ear, it could make him go deaf.
Probably could.
So why do you do it?
I didn't.
No, why do you let your son play with a BB gun?
Well, you know, I imagine there's probably 40, 50 kids in that neighborhood got BB guns.
I don't give a rat's behind about 40 or 50 kids. I'm asking you, why do you let your son shoot a BB gun?
Because I don't see anything wrong with it. It's my yard. If he wants to shoot a pop can or something in the backyard, you know, that's no problem. You know, this guy's saying he got one shot over his head. I doubt it. How would you know?
Because you can hear it coming through the...
You can't hear a BB.
Mr. Robertson.
Yeah, it's like,
when you,
might I say something?
Yes.
I mean, it's like her talking about the swimming pool. You know, 19,000 gallons of water didn't go in her basement. You know, I did go and survey the damage. It didn't look that bad.
Went into her basement?
My insurance company took of it.
When I'm speaking, you see, you may be able, is this your wife?
Yeah.
You may be able to interrupt her. Don't interrupt me.
No, I was speaking.
No. But when I start to speak, Mr. Robertson, you have to stop. That's the way we play here in my playpen.
That's fine.
Good. Can I see the damage to your house, please?
Yes, ma'am. I have police reports as well, if you would like to see those.
I would.
And then also I've included estimates.
Good. How many windows?
3 windows, and then the truck windshield.
Well, either you or your son have lousy aim, sir.
Would you mind asking this man if he did agree, you know, that I told him I'd take care of the window, and he said, don't worry about it, I just wanted you to be aware of it? Because after that date, we never shot anymore.
When you first...
Shh, don't answer him.
It's like rock damage to me. No BB did that.
Yes.
Judge Judy, I would like to add, originally, the first incident he did offer to pay. The second incident was August the 11th, the date of the police report.
And on the second incident, how many windows were shot out?
That's when we discovered the damage of the second additional, the bedroom window, and then the truck window.
Got it. Still have the BB gun, Mr. Robertson?
Yeah.
Still let your son use it?
Like I said, nobody shot it since he said I shot his garage window out.
Well, you don't know that, sir. You do work, don't you? You do
No,
work.
I don't.
You don't work?
No.
Why not?
I'm disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Back. I've
have a
had
bad
5 back
back.
surgeries.
Really? How can you shoot a BB gun with a bad back?
A BB gun?
Yeah, how can you pick up a BB gun?
Well, how much do you think it weighs?
It's kind of hard to shoot. Well, incapacitated. It seems to be if you could do this, you could sit at a desk and answer a phone.
Well, I'm just saying, I offered to pay for it. He said, don't worry about it. And that was the end of the shooting.
He doesn't want you to, no, listen to me. He doesn't want you to worry about it. He wants you to pay for it. There's a difference.
I offered to pay for it.
Good.
Ask my wife.
Oh, I won't. She has to go home with you.
For
that, she has
you
my
done made
sincere
your mind up.
condolences.
And like I said, you know, I thought you were innocent until you're proven guilty.
That's what we just did.
No, you didn't.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. Thank you. That's all.
Don't matter.
27-year-old Angela Solura is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Freddie Lara, for a loan to restore his Mustang. Freddie claims Angela paid the bill without consulting him.
Ms. Laura, it is your claim that the defendant, who was an old boyfriend of yours, owes you some money.
Correct.
For a loan that you made to him. The purpose of the loan was to have an old car fixed.
Yes.
This was a specialty car?
It's just, it's going to be a classic soon. It's just a car I always wanted
Me
to fix
too.
up.
What kind?
I clean windows on high rises.
That's a pretty dangerous job.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Like 7, 8 years now.
Make a good living?
Yeah, except when they lay you off.
Well, you don't do it when it's windy or snowing or raining.
Right.
How much do you make a year?
Anywhere from 48 to 68,000 a year.
And how many people do you support?
Just myself.
What kind of car is this that you have?
It's a 1986 Ford Mustang GT.
And your age, sir?
24 now.
Got a lot of money in the bank?
No, unfortunately.
Do you own a home?
No, I'm working on it. I'm renting an apartment for now.
Well, you make a lot of money. What do you do with all your money?
It's expensive to live in New York.
You don't put any money away?
No, I try. Not really.
You need a good woman, sir, to help you out. You also have a claim for harassment. It is your claim that he's been making harassing phone calls to you, and it's because you believe it's because you confronted his now girlfriend and told her that he was still involved with you.
She did not know about the payments. She never knew. He began dating her a week after we broke up, and she just found out about our involvement beginning of January of this year.
How did she find out?
She found a text message in his phone.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir, because she was harassing.
She was harassing for what?
Yeah, she was mad about the breakup, so she couldn't
mad
leave
about
me
the
alone.
breakup, or did she ask you for money?
She was harassing me about everything.
Was money involved?
Yes.
These are not hard questions, sir. Now, tell me about this loan.
We were dating for about a year. And within that time, he needed some major repair work done on the car. It was a car that both of us were using for transportation, or rather him. I don't drive. I don't have a license.
So he was driving you around?
Yes. I used to live with him, and where we live, you cannot get around unless you have a car.
How long did you live together?
About 9 months.
Where were you living at the time? In your apartment?
Staying with my mom at the time.
So how were you living together? Where did you live together?
In his bedroom.
In his mother's house?
In his mother's house.
Just a second. In his mother's house. So neither one of you were paying any rent?
I did I tried to give them money as much as I could.
Don't tell me tried. I'm not interested in your trying. So you weren't paying any rent? And you weren't paying any rent?
We were, when we could.
Well, sir, if you make $50,000 a year, it seems to me you could help out with your own rent. What does your mother do for a living?
She's a stay-at-home mom.
Well, how does she support herself?
Her boyfriend.
And she had the two of you living there?
Yes, correct.
Tell me about the loan.
He needed some major repair work done on the car. The car was not running, and he asked if he could use my credit card because I don't have any money except for my credit card, and he told me he would pay me back. So I lent him the credit card, and within that time, he was making payments to me weekly.
To you or to the credit card?
He was giving them to me, and I was paying the credit card because the credit card was in my name.
How much was he giving you?
Anywhere from $100 to $200 a week.
Tell me when you actually put the bill on your credit card. What was the date?
Between June and July, 7 transactions were put on the credit card in the amount of about $5,000.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Who had physical possession of the credit card?
And there were a few times where I just gave him the card. And I never used the credit card, Your Honor, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 times. It was all of the car repairs.
Who has the car now?
It's his car. He has it.
When did you break up?
August 26th of 2006.
So shortly after the car was taken care of. Now, Mr. Lara, I read your answer. Your answer says that you had made an arrangement with the place that was fixing your car, that you were going to pay them out.
Yes.
And she took it upon herself to go in with a credit card and pay the bill. But that's not true, because there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times that the credit card was used. So you must have known about it.
Yes, I did.
And did you say, don't do it because I'm going to pay them out?
Absolutely. I insisted that she didn't do it. Each
time. You said, don't do it because I'm going to pay them out.
She said it's something we both need, so...
I believe that. No, I believe that. Listen to me, Mr. Lara. I believe that she said to you, listen, I use the car, because she did use the car. So she said, we're both using the car, so I'm going to pay for it. Instead of paying them, pay me. And she says that you were giving her money, Mr. Lara.
Yeah, I felt bad. I didn't want her to spend so much for
now,
a gift.
You felt bad when you were living together?
Yes.
Speak up!
Yes.
Scared to death of me or what? Are you always this low energy, sir?
Yes.
It's very hard to get excited with you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Lara, I want you to pay careful attention to all my words, sir. While you were living together, you felt badly about what she spent on the car, on your car, so you were giving her money.
Yes.
After you broke up, you stopped feeling badly, so you stopped giving her money. Is that what you're telling me?
She kept on harassing.
No, don't tell me her. I don't want to hear harassing. I want to hear, while you were living together and using the car together, listen, I want you to follow the logic of this. You were paying her while you were together and using the car together, right?
Yes.
After you broke up with her and started to see your new girlfriend and she wasn't using the car anymore with you, you didn't feel badly anymore, so you stopped giving her money.
Well, I didn't want it to interfere with my relationship. She kept harassing me because things with her, who she was trying to get with, wasn't going well, so I think she's suing me because of the breakup.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think. I asked you a very simple question, and you understand my question, because I don't think there's total vacancy between your ears, sir. While you were together and both using it, you paid her for laying out the money. When you were no longer together and she wasn't using the car, you stopped paying her. That's what you're telling me. That's objective, not what you thought, what you felt. That's what happened. Doesn't that sound stupid to you?
No, because it was a gift.
Mr. Lara, I know that you have this word gift in your mind, but what you did in paying her belies the fact that it was a gift, sir. You paid her for the credit card. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, according to her, because she's only suing you for what she claims is the balance, which is $3,400. And the total was close to $5,000 to fix the car. So you paid her a lot of money to pay down the credit card. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Listen, was he more exciting when you were together?
He had his moments.
Few and far between.
He has a problem with confrontation, Your Honor.
He has a problem with confrontation?
Yes.
Oh, and I love confrontation. That's why we don't get along. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,400. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
26-year-old Laura Joza is suing bar patron 22-year-old Jason Witzel for the cost to fix her car. Laura claims Jason body slammed his friend into the vehicle.
Ms. Joza, the defendant, you believe, damaged your car while he was drunk in a parking lot of a bar. Your car at that time had been driven to work by your boyfriend. Is this the boyfriend?
Right.
You were not present when this happened.
I was not.
Were you present?
Yes, I was.
Step up, please. On what date did this incident happen with her car?
This was 1 o'clock in the morning on March 4th.
What's the name of the bar where you work?
It's called Little Pedro's. It's
What do you
on,
do there?
I work the front door, and my car was basically parked about 20 feet away from me.
Her car?
Or we live together. It's our car.
It's registered
just
in my name, but our car.
It's titled in your name?
It is.
And you are not married?
Well,
we've been living together 7 years, kind of. I don't know if that makes it.
Doesn't make it.
No. Well,
by my standards, but yeah, anyway. Go ahead.
Doesn't make it. So it's your car?
My car.
Tell me what you observed, sir.
Well, basically what happened, he came out of the club, and as he came out, I can kind of tell him and his friends were a little riled up. I guess having a good time, but a little agitated for some reason. They walked down the way, and they actually were right in the side of my car. And all of a sudden, they just escalated into them wrestling each other. And at that moment, when I seen them wrestling, I was starting to walk over there. And as soon as I started going out of the door to go over there, he grabbed his friend that he was wrestling and slammed him into my vehicle. So I ran over there. As I was grabbing him, he swung, missed me, struck his friend right in the nose, was bleeding all over the place. And then I told him, you know, they're not coming into the club, that they're done. You guys definitely are over it. But about 10, 15 minutes later, I guess I was so adrenaline rushed at the time, I didn't notice that my car was damaged. And I looked, and I could see it in the light reflecting off the side of the vehicle that it was damaged right where they fell into it. So then I looked around.
Well, they didn't fall into it. According to you, Mr. Witzel body slammed his
friend into the car. He slammed his friend into the car, and his friend fell with his back onto the vehicle, and they both collided into the car with both of their force.
Got it. Okay.
And then what happened after that, he said he was going to be compliant with it. We filled out an incident report from the club that he signed, stating what happened, you know, what time, and all this.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. We also have pictures of the damage, if you'd like that.
I would.
Also have the insurance information that he gave us.
That was actually another kind of a weird thing. Insurance card that he stated that it was his insurance, but it was actually just his AAA service.
He can't have insurance for this.
Yeah, I know,
they don't
but that's...
give insurance for this. This incident report indicates that Jason, that would be you, is that right? Was so drunk he couldn't even write his name or number. So, let me hear you.
Well, I was already kind of kicked out of the bar because I had too much to drink.
Yeah.
And I was sitting outside waiting for my friends.
Yeah.
And there was probably maybe like 50 to 60 people outside.
Yeah.
And where he was, from where his car was, he couldn't have seen what happened.
How do you know what he saw, sir? You were drunk.
Because he was standing inside of the door.
I was not
But you just don't speak.
I mean, I did walk into the place. I saw where he was when he was, you know, taking IDs
Jason,
and whatnot.
Two things. There is a signed acknowledgement of responsibility.
Right.
That you signed.
Right.
Now, you say that you were too drunk to know anything about what you signed. That's your defense to that. Is that right?
Yeah.
And yet you're telling me you were not drunk enough.
Well...
So, listen, let me finish. You were too drunk to know what you signed, but not so drunk as to be able to tell me that he couldn't have seen what he says he saw.
Okay, but the times are completely different. I was waiting outside for like 45 minutes before he even came up to me. They didn't let me back in. I had to ask him if I could get my friends to leave. And then I probably waited outside like another 30, 45 minutes before he let me back in. And then when we were walking out to leave is when he pulled me aside and said he was looking for me because something happened to his car. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. I knew nothing about the car. I don't even think he knew about the car. I think someone told him and he saw us fighting. And it was like, oh, they were probably close to it. They might as well have done it. When there were so many people out there that were walking by, anyone could have done it.
Well, that's true, but he says you did it. And you're too drunk to know what you did.
Well, of course, I'm drunk. He sees a really drunk guy signing a thing that I'm too drunk to sign. It's easy.
Do you know, Jason, what that would suggest to me?
What?
That a good life's lesson is, if you're going to drink, don't drink too much. Because if you drink too much, you really can't tell what kind of dumb thing you might do, or you can't really defend yourself when somebody says that you did something that you say you didn't do. Do you follow that?
Yeah, I follow that.
So that would be a good lesson. Go to college?
No, I'm in the Navy.
Is that where you learned how to drink?
Not necessarily.
Because you don't drink well, sir.
Well, maybe it was a long night of drinking.
Was there any reason for that?
I don't know, you start off with a few and then, I don't know, you end up having more than you expected.
That sounds stupid.
At the time, I guess it didn't.
But it does sound stupid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds
Because now you're
stupid.
going to have to fix a car. What kind of car is it?
It's a 2005 Cadillac CTS, so it's a expensive car which is in pristine condition. It's not like I had something on it before or, you know, it's a perfect car. I have a question, too, for him. Since he says now that, you know, he didn't do it, it could have been anybody. So since we had contact with him days afterward and everything was fine, oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. Take it to my place over here. Those days you were sober, so that doesn't make any sense that, oh, you were too drunk at that, you know, that day. But then days afterward, you didn't say you didn't do it. This is the first that we hear that it could have been 50 or 60 people that did it.
But it could have, he told me it was his car, now all of a sudden it's her car.
That doesn't matter.
Just a second. What difference does that make to you?
Well, all right, after the whole incident, it got kind of fishy, you know? He called me like...
Listen, I don't want to hear you anymore.
Okay.
Quite frankly, when a 22-year-old gets so drunk that they don't know what they're doing, makes me nauseous. I want to gag. My gag reflex is in. You owe her $500. Judgment for the plaintiff.
All right.
That's all.
Thank you. Housekeeper Nita Bayer is suing former employer Kendra Hall for damages resulting from an injury she sustained in Kendra's home. Kendra is countersuing for the return of Nita's unearned wages.
Miss Bayer, according to what I read in your complaint, you did some housework for Miss Hall. You fell in her house. You want her to be responsible for your medical bills and your lost wages. Miss Hall says she's not certain that you fell in her house and injured yourself there. She's counterclaiming because she says that she paid you for an entire month and you only worked that one day. She wants you to refund to her the amount that she paid you for the remainder of the month when you didn't work. I have a few questions. Ms. Bayer, how long did you work for Miss Hall?
7 months.
How often did you go to her home?
Every Friday starting of March 2006.
How many hours did you spend there?
Usually I spent somewhere between 7 and 8 hours a day.
What was the date of this accident in the house?
It was November 3rd, 2006.
And she had paid you for the month?
Yes, she did.
What was your monthly salary?
It was $360. I received $90 a week.
Now tell me about this fall that you took in the house. Miss Hall was not at home.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I arrived to work and I started working in the kitchen. Then I went upstairs, stripped the beds, made the beds, and then I took all the laundry down to the laundry room, and the light bulb was burned out in the laundry room. So I went into the garage to look for a ladder, and I found a 3-foot ladder. I took down the fixture, which was full of bugs and dirty. I washed it, cleaned it, went upstairs, got light bulbs that are kept upstairs in the linen closet. When I came down, I went up the 3-step ladder, went to put the bulb in and lost my balance and fell against the wash and dryer on my left side. When I got up, I felt nauseous and dizzy. So I went outside and sat in a little brick fence that's in the backyard, trying to gain my composure. And then I finally went into the house. I took some Aleve, some Excedrin.
Stop 1 second. So it would be clear and fair to say that you did not fall because the ladder broke?
No.
Because there was any imperfection in the floor? You fell because you lost your balance?
That's right.
Nobody else's fault but yours?
That's right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, since she pays me monthly, $360, she had just left that check that morning, and I never thought anything was really seriously wrong with me, and I tried to continue to work. In fact, I did continue. I finished cleaning the house, even did the laundry, very slow. Usually I leave about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. She arrived about 5 o'clock, and she asked me, "Are you still here?" And I said, "Yes, I did something foolish today. I fell and I hurt my arm. I don't know what's the matter." It really, really hurts. She quickly ran to the phone, called her sister-in-law, who I also work for, and she said, Nita fell changing a light bulb. Do you think my home insurance will cover her if I take her to the doctor? She said, okay, thank you, hung up, ran to her office, came back with some papers and said, yes, my home insurance does cover it, but I have to pay a $1,000 deductible, of which I will not pay. And suddenly she wasn't concerned about me anymore. And she says, this is ridiculous. And I said, well, then you're not going to help me? And she says...
So you had asked her?
Yes.
Just a second. You didn't make that clear, Miss Bayer.
I'm sorry.
So you said to her, I finished working, but I hurt my shoulder. I want to go to the doctor. Will you pay for it?
I didn't say, will you pay for it? I asked her, can you help me? That's what I said.
Well, what did you want her to do to help you?
To take to the doctor. I figured, well, since I fell in her home, that...
So you felt she was responsible?
That's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Miss Bayer, but you left that out of your story. What you made it sound like was you told her that your shoulder was hurting. Without saying another word, she went over to the phone and called her sister-in-law.
Yes.
But that's not what happened. You said, I want to go to the doctor. Can you help me? Because you're responsible because I fell in your house. So she went to find out if that was true.
And she came back and found out that it was true.
What makes you think that if you have an accident in somebody else's home and it's your fault that they should be responsible?
Because I was under her employment at the time.
Well, that may be, but, you know, there is something that lacks common sense about that. I'm a common sense gal myself. What you told me was you fell and it was your fault.
Yes.
And you want somebody else to pay for it. That's what it comes down to. I mean, if you're taking it at face value, you may have fallen in her house. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that Miss Hall should not have assumed this responsibility. But what I'm saying to you is it doesn't flow naturally. If you fall in somebody's house and there's nothing wrong with their house, the railing isn't loose and the steps aren't uneven and there's not a slippery floor and there's no ice in the front walk, well, that shouldn't be their fault. It's your fault. You fell. That makes sense to me. The fact that most jurisdictions have superimposed some liability on the part of homeowners if they have people working in their home, that irrespective of whose fault it is, they have to take the responsibility, that's something else. But I'm just telling you, from a common sense perspective, it doesn't make sense. It makes no more sense than if you were walking down the street in front of somebody's house and there was no ice, no snow, there was nothing wrong. You were thinking about something, you fell in front of their house, and you say, well, I fell in front of their house, I'm going to sue them. You fell because you weren't being careful.
I was being very careful.
Well, if you were being very careful, the ladder didn't move by itself. And if you were being very careful, that maybe you had a pre-existing medical condition that caused you to become dizzy. Whatever it wasn't her fault. It was an accident.
Yes, it was.
It was an accident. An accident that was your fault. Not her ladder's fault, not her floor's fault, not her light bulb's fault, not her light fixture's fault. It was your fault. Now, I say this to you because what you want is more than just your medical bills paid. You want medical bills and lost earnings and lost wages. Why should she pay for that?
It is still an ongoing problem, Your Honor. I have proof here.
It's your ongoing problem.
That's true.
Not her ongoing problem. It's your ongoing problem. And if what you're saying is that she should have taken care of the medical bills because she didn't want to pay the deductible, listen, she fell in your house. You know what the parameters are, right?
Yes.
That's what the law superimposes on you. I happen to think it's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's what the law says.
I understand that. Can I please tell you
the
side of the story that I believe to be the truth? Very similar.
But let me tell you something. Don't go to where you don't think that she was injured because she's got things that she's prepared to show me that she hurt her rotator cuff when she fell.
She was injured. Where? I'm not sure, because when I came home from work that day, I put my things down, got my kids in the house as I always do, and she continued to work. And I didn't run to the phone and run to anywhere. She insisted, I'm hurting. Do you have insurance? I'm like, what? I was in shock.
Well, and don't be in shock. She fell off the ladder, changing a light bulb in your house.
This is what she's telling me, okay? I don't know this. I really don't. Because
you weren't home.
She kept working.
She told me that.
And she's working, and she's a hard worker. She
told me that.
Is. But what I don't like is that I did not say I would not pay. She told me later on the phone, you should have just paid the $1,000. I called my insurance company to see. I said, well, I don't know if there's a deductible. I'll find out, you know, we'll take care of this. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll go to county where my husband goes. Her husband's very ill. He goes to county hospital for treatment. This is what she told me. That's why I dropped it. Later, her daughter calls me. My mother, she's going to need surgery, possibly. I'm like, what has this got to do with me?
Okay, well, that's what it has to do with you. Where are the medical bills that you paid?
Okay.
Your total medical bills so far are $1,047. I don't know what this is.
I totaled everything up, lost wages, the doctor bill.
I'm not giving you any credit for lost wages, madam.
Okay.
I believe that you should pay your medical expenses. But you were paid already for the full month when you didn't work. Is that right?
On that paper in the blue I highlighted, I deducted the $270
well,
that
I know,
owed
but you
her.
deducted it from $3,000.
Right.
I'm deducting it from the $1,047. $777. Now, it's $777 that your insurance company's not going to pay because you have a $1,000 deductible. It's your option to have a $1,000 deductible, right? You could pay more insurance and have less deductible. You choose to be a self-insurer for the first $1,000. Are you following me? You look at me like I'm talking another language.
No.
Right, but you got it, right?
I got it.
You got it. You owe her $777. Sounds to me it's fair and reasonable. I don't think you're responsible for the fact that she's not working. And you haven't worked since November?
No, I haven't.
Well, who knows when you're going to be able to go back to work?
Well, that's why I was asking for the lost wages to cover the existing bills that
She's
it
not
had.
responsible for your negligence.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $777. That's all. Thank you.
John Allen claims former friend Karen Stevenson owes for a loan of $1,800.
Mr. Allen, it is your claim that the defendant borrowed some money from you. She's a former girlfriend of yours. Ms. Stevenson says that you're a con guy. She never borrowed any money from you. She doesn't know what you're talking about. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Okay. Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we decided to part ways, and we remained friends. On about the middle of September, about a week before I actually loaned her the money, she called me in desperation and said Lisa had taken a checkbook that no longer existed, a checking account, wrote a check out for $1,800. She needed money, that the bank was pressing charges, and
she wrote out a bad check?
Yes, Lisa.
Is Lisa here?
No.
Where is she?
She lives in Florida.
Who does she live with in Florida?
Herself.
What does she do for a living?
She's a cashier.
Ever been arrested?
No.
Ever been charged with crime?
Lisa? No.
Lisa?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
So at the time when she called me, she said, I need this money. If I don't pay this $1,800 back.
For Lisa?
For Lisa, they're going to arrest me because it was drawn on my bank account. So...
Oh, just a minute. Where do you live?
Salisbury, Maryland.
You live in Maryland, and somehow Lisa got hold of one of her old checkbooks.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa forged a check for $1,800.
Yes.
But there was no longer an account.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa cashed a check in Florida.
Somewhere, I don't know actually, when she said, but it was a check written on this account, and it bounced, so the bank was going to press charges, and if she didn't pay the money back, they were going to put her in jail.
Put who in jail?
Karen.
It's not true.
She didn't write a bad check.
Well, that's what she told me, ma'am.
That sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't that sound ridiculous? How old are you?
I'm 40, be 42 in March, ma'am.
42. What do you do for a living?
I have a few businesses. I'm going back to school, getting my real estate degree, and
What kind of businesses do you have?
I have a business running a company. I started in 1990.
What does it make? What does it do?
Well, I buy and resell food as like a Cisco or a U.S. food service.
You do that now?
No, right now I am in the process of going back to school. The company
So now you don't do anything?
No, the company still exists. I'm collecting my accounts receivables and stuff like that. Yes, ma'am. I'm still in the process. I have real estate I'm selling. I do various different things.
Who do you live with?
I live with my brother right now. I'm in the process of selling my real estate, my home.
You're in the process of doing an awful lot, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you in the process of going through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am.
Did you go through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Did you ever apply for a bankruptcy?
No,
Did you
ma'am.
ever consult with a lawyer about a bankruptcy?
Yes, I have.
When?
I consult with my lawyer in September, August, September, October, just discussing...
September of 2006?
Yes, ma'am.
About the same time that she was asking for some money?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why would you consult with an attorney about a bankruptcy, sir?
I'd just gone through a divorce that, the settlement of property had to be dispersed. I had loans with my company, just seeking my different options, out there. It was discussed, but it was never gone through. I'm in the process of selling my assets to pay debts. That was my choice to do it that way. You know, I want to make sure all of my bills are paid. That's why I'm selling my home, other real estate. I have a $1.5 million piece of business real estate that I'm in the process of selling.
What's the mortgage on it?
$790,000.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in June of '04.
In whose name is it?
It's in my company's name.
Which is?
Paradise Produce Company Incorporated.
Who else is a partner in Paradise Produce?
Nobody.
Current on your mortgage payments?
Not at this time, no. They are in the process of being sold right now.
Is there a contract for the sale of the property?
Yes, there is a contract for the sale of the property. It's pending on other things, you know, that's going on in the community. So,
You got a lot going on in your life, Mr.
I'm a very active man.
You're got a lot going on.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, so she asked you for this $1,800, and what did you do, sir? I just wanted to get a sense, because I have to figure out who's pulling my leg and who's not.
I wrote her this check out from one of my bank accounts. I have numerous bank accounts because I have personal things, business things, and all that. And I actually wrote it out to her name and put loan on the memo. I handed this check to her on September 26th, and she took it, and I said, you can go right down the road and cash this check at my bank.
Where did you give it to her?
I gave it to her in the shopping center parking lot. I met her in Del Mar, Delaware, on the Delaware side. So that night, she called me back. She says, well, I don't think I can cash this check. I've lost my license, and I don't have a current checking account. I said, well, you can go right to the bank and cash this. I said, I made it out to you, and there's money in the checking account. She said, no, I'd rather you go to the bank and cash a check. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I said, but I would need this other check back. So the next day, I went to Laurie. This is my witness, Laurie Collins. Can I bring her forward, Judge? Or?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of John's.
What kind of a friend?
Close family friend for over 30 years.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went by Laurie's house. I discussed it with Laurie. I said, Laurie, I'm going to probably loan some money. I have loaned some money. She wants me to take the check back and go to the bank and cash the check and give her the $1,800. And Laurie said, well, just make sure that you keep this check here, the first check, if she gives it back to you.
First check is of no value.
Right.
Unless I can test for fingerprints on it.
Right. And then the second check is I wrote her name in the memo. That I cashed this check. Here's
well, that's what you wrote.
And I went to the bank.
You cashed the check and wrote her name in the memo.
Right. So I told Laurie, I said, Laurie, I have loaned this lady some money. I said, as a friend, I just wanted somebody to know that I had loaned her the money.
Was she there when you gave her the money?
No, ma'am.
Good. Sit down.
And at the time I wrote the check out, I have bank accounts with different amount of figures in it. You know, right now, $25,000 on this. If I needed it, she claims that I needed the money for myself. I don't need it.
Just show me the account where you took out the $1,800.
Yes, right there.
Okay.
Your Honor, he states that the first check that he wrote me, he had $1,800 in that account. That's the check he first gave me. I subpoenaed his bank records. $1,800 was not in there. He had
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. He had $72.79 in that account.
Let me see. Can I see that check, please? Sir, you wrote her a check on 9/26 for $1,800. You didn't have $1,800 in that account.
Right.
On which you wrote this $1,800 check.
Right.
Well, why would you write her an $1,800 check and tell her to go?
Because I was going to make a deposit in the account. I moved money from different checking accounts. I have interest-bearing accounts with my business and everything like that. I move money when I need money to pay bills like in the business.
Yeah, but you didn't move any money here, sir. You didn't move any money here. 3 days later...
She gave me the check back because she said that she couldn't cash it.
I understand that.
Because she didn't have a license.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
That was not the same day, sir. You already testified. It was the next day that she called you and said, I don't have a driver's license, and therefore I can't cash this check.
Right.
Now, you had already told her to go and cash the check, which she could have done on 9/26.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? On 9/26, if she went to your bank,
yes, ma'am,
and deposited that check, they would not have cashed that check because there was no balance in that account.
They could have moved the money from my business account, which is with the same bank, to cover my overdraft.
There's no overdraft privilege in here.
I'm sorry. I did lend this lady some money.
Go ahead.
He also says he gave me the $1,800. I was leaving that day to go out of town for a wedding, I was running around getting my nails done, my hair done. He didn't give me $1,800.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, let's start out with the conversation that you had with him about Lisa.
There was no conversation about Lisa. He knows she was in town for maybe a week or two. She moved back to Florida. I don't have a checking account. I don't have any checks. I haven't had a checking account in 3 years.
So you never had a discussion with him about a loan?
No.
Never had a discussion with him about giving you any money?
No.
Why do you think he would make up this convoluted story?
Your Honor, his business account had been frozen because he owes so many people money. Okay? He couldn't even make payroll. John and I continued to talk. We were good friends. He wanted me to help him take the money out of his county bank and put in a safety deposit box, put in my name, and he wanted to put the cash in there so they couldn't touch that money. Then I told him I didn't want to be involved in that because they're going to want to know where this $21,000 is. I didn't want that in my name. I didn't want any part of that. He tried to get several people to do that, and I wouldn't do it.
So what you're saying is he tried to get several people to accept checks?
Yes.
From him?
Yes.
And squirrel away the money?
Yes.
In the event he decided to go through this with this bankruptcy?
Absolutely.
Keep going.
I mean, he says in one statement that I was supposed to pay him back in 2 weeks. John and I continue to be friends. He had a surprise birthday party for his brother. I was invited.
Don't tell me. Just tell me about the money.
There was.
When you told him that you didn't want to participate in this scheme,
yes,
what did he say to you?
That he had a couple other people that were thinking about taking the money and putting it in a safety deposit box, storing his personal property so it wouldn't be auctioned off, which it has been.
What personal property did he want to store with you?
Pool tables, big screen TV, four-wheeler, living room furniture, kitchen furniture, I mean, bedroom suits. He had a 2-story house fully furnished. All that stuff has been auctioned off.
They've been auctioned off by whom?
An auctioneer.
At whose?
I guess at his request. I really don't know. I know that his house is for sale.
Did you have an auction?
Yes, ma'am, I did. To pay my debts and everything. The pool table, big screen TV, all that stuff was auctioned off to pay debts that I incurred during divorce. I am in process of selling 2 pieces of property, a business piece of property, all my assets to pay my debts. I am not filing for bankruptcy. I am
well,
going to be
it's a little more difficult now to file for bankruptcy,
yes, ma'am.
sir, because what you're suggesting to me is if you own a piece of property that's worth $1.5 million and you have a $790,000 mortgage,
yes, ma'am.
If you file for bankruptcy, you're not going to see any of that money.
Yes, ma'am.
So in order to see any of that money, if you pay off your creditors now, then you'll be able to maybe walk away with a couple $100,000.
No, ma'am, I'm not going to walk away with anything. My assets are about $2.2 million. I owe about 2.1. So, time I pay auctioneers, you know, realtors, all that stuff.
So it doesn't pay for you. So you have assets of $2 million and you have debts of about the same. So you can't go into bankruptcy. That doesn't mean you're bankrupt. It just means that you have to go to work. Business people, you have mortgages, you have attorneys, you have all kinds of other things. And you're not unfamiliar with court.
Yes, ma'am.
So here you come to a court and you say, I made a loan to this lady. Put your hand down. I made a loan to this lady. I did not memorialize that loan in any way. This check is of no value.
Right.
Because she never endorsed it. I can take out my checkbook and write out a check to Petrie Hawkins Bird in the amount of $10,000 and say, I gave him this check.
Right.
He gave it back to me, and I gave him the 10 grand in cash. And this is some evidence that I gave him that money, right?
Right.
I didn't give you any money to that. No. So this is evidence of nothing.
Right.
The only evidence that it is, sir, is that she subpoenaed this bank account, which says at the time you allegedly wrote this check out to her, you didn't have sufficient money to cover the check in the bank.
Right.
Now, you did have another bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you could have written a check that would have cleared.
Right.
As a matter of fact, according to you, you did just that 3 days later. You didn't go to this bank, where you could have moved money around. You went to this bank, where you took out $1,800. All of this leaves me with a very uneasy feeling, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I have a very uneasy feeling, sir, the fact that you brought a witness that says that you told her all about this loan is of no value. So, Mr. Allen, it is possible, just possible that you loaned her $1,800?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You understand my problem with your proof, sir?
I understand. I understand.
Are you sympathetic with me, sir?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Frances Garcia is suing her mother, Joan LeGrand, for the unpaid interest on a loan. Frances says her mother has a gambling problem.
Miss Garcia, Miss LeGrand is your mother.
Yes.
And some time ago you made a loan to her, a loan which she acknowledges. It's a loan for, I think, $1,500. Is that right?
Yes.
And she paid you back the loan?
No, not fully.
How much does she owe on the loan?
The loan itself, it's $100 or $200.
You said 100 or 200. Well, this is a court. Be specific. Does she owe you 100 or 200?
Let me check here, so I can be specific. 100 difference.
It was a $1,500 loan. She paid you back $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
What did you need the money for, Miss LeGrand?
Well, Your Honor, I had some court-ordered debt that it needed to be paid to Sacramento, and to me that was a very urgent matter and needed to be taken care of, and that's why I got the loan from her to pay them.
Do you agree that you owe her the $100 on the original loan?
If she says I still owe her $100, I guess maybe I am $100 short, because the last payment that I made to her was $200, and I believe it should have been $300.
Okay. So you acknowledge that perhaps you owe her $100. She says that you do. But she doesn't want $100. She wants $1,600. You're going to tell me why.
Because my mother at the bingo hall came up to me, you can see this on the bingo paper, with this, and she said, Dee, can you read this and then let me know something? Well, per her contract, it states here, $500 for court fines. Then it also says $500 that she owes the state. Well, then her total at the bottom is $1,500. I said, Mom, what do you need the other $500 for? Oh, miscellaneous. I said, oh, it's for Jackson, right? Because she likes to go gamble in Jackson outside of the bingo hall.
Okay.
So, anyways, per her contract, it says, if you would like to read it, Judge, the payment would be paid as follows. It's here starting May the 3rd, $200.
Just a second. She acknowledges she owes you $100 on the original $1,500 loan.
Yes.
But you want $1,600.
Yes, because that's why I loaned her the money. She agreed to pay me $3,000 back.
So she agreed to pay you double the loan, 100% interest. Is that right? And that's what you want?
That's what I want.
When did you make her the loan?
On April 26th.
Of what year?
Of 2005.
And when did she finish paying you the $1,400?
When did I have to press her to finish paying me?
When did she pay you?
Let me see. She did not pay in August 3rd because she spent it in Las Vegas.
Listen to me.
Okay, I did hear your question.
Listen to me. If you heard my question, give me the answer. When did she finish paying?
The 18th.
Of what month?
August.
Now, did you have a reasonable relationship with your mother before?
Outside of being her banker, no. We just talk whenever we see each other.
The laws of this country, in each jurisdiction, preclude, do not allow people to charge usurious interest rates.
She made the contract.
Listen, I want you to open up, put on your listening ears.
They're here.
Courts will not enforce a contract with usurious interest rates. They're against the law.
Okay, fine. Well,
good. Then she owes you $100.
I don't feel that's correct, because even if you use a credit card to get the money, there are 22.99% interest.
And?
So what's the difference? She's not paying me any interest. I didn't loan it to her just as a gift.
Let me tell you what the law says, just so that you're aware of it.
Please enlighten me.
I'm going to enlighten you, and I'm going to do it quickly because I have other fish to fry today. The law says that if you make a contract that's against the law, and it is against the law to charge too much interest, then the courts will not enforce that contract with any interest.
Oh, it's nice to know the law.
Good. Now you know it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100, which you acknowledge you owe her. That's all.
Pamela Marr claims her ex-husband's girlfriend, Mary Palmucci, illegally titled a Chevy Cavalier in her name. Pamela says the car was supposed to be a gift to her daughter, Ashley.
Miss Marr, Miss Palmucci is the girlfriend of your ex-husband.
Yes.
Ex-husband?
Yep. Yes.
Better. According to your complaint, you and your ex-husband got together and decided to purchase a used car for your daughter.
Yes, Ashley.
And each of you was going to contribute $400 to the car.
Yes.
According to you, you gave your husband $400 to buy this car. The car somehow was registered in the name of Miss Palmucci.
Yes.
Your daughter drove the car for a period of time, and then, for whatever reason, Miss Palmucci took the car back.
Yes.
You want your $400 back.
Correct.
Miss Palmucci said it was always her car. Step up, sir. What's your last name?
Mar.
How long have you and your former wife been divorced?
About 4 or 5 years now.
And how long have you and Miss Palmucci been together?
About 7 years.
So I assume you and your wife were separated for a long time before you divorced.
Yes.
How old was your daughter when you left the house?
Like 13, 12, 13, like that.
How old?
10.
10?
They're not always good with dates. Whose idea was it to get this used car for your daughter?
It was my idea.
Where did you find the car?
My niece had it. She was selling the car.
Did your wife, former wife, give you $400 towards the car? Look at me.
It was my understanding that check that she gave me was for the work I did for her at her house a week prior to that. And I gave $200.
How much was the car?
The car altogether was $700.
Did you have a conversation with your former wife with regard to her contributing to the car?
The only conversation that we had was with my daughter and myself and Mary about the car. There was no verbal conversation about the car between me and my ex-wife.
Did you have a conversation with your father about the car? Step up. Tell me your first name.
Ashley.
Ashley, tell me about when you had this conversation with your father about the car.
Well, I was at work and he called and asked me if I wanted to discuss with my mother about getting the car from my cousin.
Well, what specifically did he say?
He said, do you think your mother would go half in buying a car for you? I said, yeah, she would. So I went home and talked to my mother about it, and she said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Did your father tell you how much the car was?
Yes.
How much did he say it was?
$700.
And did you tell your mother how much it was?
Yes.
Who did you give the money to?
My ex-husband.
When?
I gave it to him on July 28th.
Did you give it to him in check or cash?
Check.
How much did you give him?
$400.
Why did you give him $400?
Because I was told that the car was $800, and later on, after I had paid it, my daughter had said it was only $700.
Did you originally tell your mother it was $800?
I think I might have.
What date did you get the car?
July 31st. July 30th.
And when was the car taken back from you?
August 21st.
Mr. Marr, you did have a discussion with your daughter about her mother going half for the car. Unless you're calling your daughter a liar. Are you calling your daughter a liar?
Me and Ashley discussed it. We didn't discuss anything with my ex-wife.
Are you telling me that you didn't say to your daughter you think your mom would go half with me on a used car for you?
No, it didn't take place, that conversation.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me the work that you did for your ex-wife that you thought she was paying you for.
I put a liner in the pool and a skimmer also.
Did you arrive at a price with her?
No, it wasn't. We didn't compromise the price.
Well, how much did you spend for the liner?
I didn't spend for anything. She bought the liner and I put it in. I installed it and the skimmer.
How long did it take you?
Half a day, about 4 or 5 hours.
So what you're telling me, Mr. Marr, is you want me to believe, sir, that you thought that this $400 was your labor in putting in the half a day?
Yeah, that I paid my brother-in-law with the other $200. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though you had not come up with an amount with your wife for what the job was going to be?
No, since she doesn't make that much money, I was just happy with whatever she gave me, that's all.
Mr. Marr, you're full of baloney, sir. Absolutely, positively, 100% full of baloney. If something doesn't make sense in this world, Mr. Marr, it's not true. If something makes sense, it's usually true. What makes sense is you having a discussion with your daughter and saying you think your mom would go half with me on a car for you, and giving her an inflated amount of $800 because that would have covered the tags and the registration, whatever it was to get it on the road. And she going to her mother and saying, would you do that? And her mother said, sure. And her mother hands you a check for $400. You don't even ask what it's for. You say, don't know. It's for the swimming pool. It's for the liner. It's for the work. It's for the, I don't know what this is for. Thank you very much for the check. Then you register the car in your girlfriend's name. What happens to her $400 when you take back the car?
I didn't register the car.
She registered the car.
Because I wrote out the check for the $700, which I have, and I paid for everything else, including the insurance.
Then you got it, Miss Palmucci. He scammed you out of $400.
Who scammed me out of $400?
He did.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Because he got paid $400. So if you wrote out the entire check of $700 plus putting tags and registration on the car, then your boyfriend scammed you out of $400 because he got half of it from his ex-wife, which was supposed to pay
either
for
way,
the car.
the money comes out of a joint checking account, which him and I have, so he didn't scam me out of anything, because that's also where the check is deposited.
Yeah.
Into the account that we both have.
Let me see everything, please. I want to see all the paperwork, please. Going to resolve this right away. Why is this certificate of title all mangled?
Because she attempted to take it from my house and tore it in doing that.
Where's the car now?
In my driveway.
Who drives it?
Nobody right now.
Why not?
It's not registered and insured.
Does it still drive?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
still
there's
drives.
nothing wrong with it.
Oh, good. You want to give him $350 for this car?
Sure.
Yes. Good, because that's all they paid for. They said they paid
In addition to the
$700.
insurance, the registration, the title, the amount that I had to have it towed in order to get the vehicle back.
Shouldn't have done that. Because
well,
you didn't get
the
the
only
whole
other
story.
choice that I was given by the police department
Listen
was
to
that I
me.
should file
You
a
didn't get the
complaint
whole
of theft.
story, madam. The whole story was these two people have a child together. They decided to buy her a car. He's afraid to tell you that.
The conversation
I'm
between
speaking.
him...
Try not to speak over me. You will not be successful. You got yourself in the middle of it, and you shouldn't have. But she's going to give you $350. You get the other $400 from him, because that's what she paid him for the car, and you're going to sign over the title to her right now.
I can't sign the title until after the other case goes to court.
What other case?
There's another case that's going to court on the 14th of November.
For what?
Her claim against him for assault.
Her claim against him for assault?
Here's the paperwork. You wanna see that
Can I
too?
see it, please? It has nothing to do with the title to the car.
It does. It's in there. It says that she went there and that she attempted to get the title to the car.
That's
It's in
I
the warrant
gotcha.
there.
I gotcha. We'll give you a copy of this tape. You take it, you show it, and you indicate to the judge who hears that case, if a judge is going to hear that case, that you were directed to, and you have agreed and acknowledged to follow my direction. You're going to sign this over to her, and she's going to give you $350. Bird, have her sign it right now. You created a whole lot of trouble, Mr. Marr, by not being honest with the women in your life. Sign it.
So
You have now purchased the car yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
She gets $350. Now she's whole because she's going to take his $400 because they have a joint bank account. You got it?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Desiree Loire claims ex-boyfriend Anthony Tatum owes for unpaid rent from their shared apartment. Desiree also says Anthony slashed her comforter and put a hole in the wall.
I have a feeling it's advice time. Miss Loire, this used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you also shared an apartment with him.
Yes.
You claim he owes you a whole bunch of money, dating back to 2005. You do know we're in 2007 now.
Yes, I do.
Mr. Tatum says he owes you nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice-looking couple. How old are you?
21.
And you?
22?
And you moved in together when you were 19 and you were 20.
Correct.
Old enough to sign a contract?
Yes.
Definitely.
So you signed a lease together?
Multiple.
Multiple leases together?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not talking about all the leases you signed together. I'm talking about the last one after you moved out, because that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. And it is the plaintiff's claim that you moved out, you owed her rent, you damaged some of her property, and you loaned him money in 2005 for some car insurance. That you don't remember. Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a Japanese restaurant as a bartender.
And you?
I'm a student.
How do you support yourself?
Currently, my parents do, ma'am.
Have you ever supported yourself?
For the past 3 years, yes.
So you just went back to school.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing for the last 3 years?
I was selling cars.
Did you make a living at it?
Very much so.
Why did you decide to go back to school?
I made a life-changing mistake of driving under the influence and lost my license.
That's a reason.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you injure anybody?
No, ma'am.
How long is your license suspended for?
It's no longer suspended. I just can't be picked up by the insurance of a dealership. Therefore, I'm back in school.
Gotcha. Okay. That was life-changing.
Very much. Learned a life lesson.
So I'm going to give you both another one. Don't ever move in with somebody and sign a lease together. Single people who want to try living together should always get an apartment that each of them can afford separately. Isn't that a smart idea?
Absolutely.
So that if it doesn't work out, somebody says, this is my apartment, that was our agreement, you leave, I can pay the rent all by myself. Of course, I understand that by saying this, I will probably lose 40% of the cases that I try each year. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice for the purpose of the common good. Right?
You will not lose a single case.
You know, he says that because nobody's going to listen to me. But if they did listen, there's a certain wisdom in what I say.
Yes, it is.
That way, 2 people wouldn't be homeless, 2 people wouldn't have their credit in the toilet, 2 people would not have to go back to mama or whatever. You would be able to separate and say, it didn't work out. So you signed this lease together when?
In September of 2005.
And when did you move out, sir?
October 30th of 2005.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, I'm not.
When did you move out?
February of 2006.
So you only stayed there for a couple of months?
I was there for 6 months.
November, December, January. You stayed till the end of February?
September to the end of February.
I'm not talking about September. He left in October. Did you pay October's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
No, he did not.
Well, I don't know that. How do I know that? 2 years ago. Let's talk about November, December, and January. 3 months that you lived there, that he lived with you there for those 3 months.
Nobody, I lived by myself. He refused to sign off the lease, so I was unable to.
You say there was somebody else living in the apartment?
Yes, ma'am. Her friend Tracy, who is also my friend, and her witness's friend moved in at the beginning of November.
How do you know that, sir?
Because I went over there and she was living there.
You went over there when?
To get the rest of my stuff at the beginning of November.
How do you know she was living there?
Because my friend was her boyfriend at the time and he was also going over there.
That's completely untrue.
Did she stay there?
She stayed there occasionally. If we would.
How occasionally?
A couple nights a week. If we went out, she'd stay over. But no, she did not pay rent. None of her things were there.
Well, you should have. How to pay rent? How many bedrooms in this apartment?
1.
Where did she sleep when she stayed over?
In my bed.
So?
Well, I don't think someone who stays 2 nights a week should have to pay rent.
Why not?
I guess.
Was it your agreement with him to move out?
I asked him to move out, yes, because
then you pay the rent.
Not paying rent.
Then you pay the rent.
Well, he should have signed off the lease, which he refused to.
And what did you do?
I couldn't do anything. He wouldn't sign off the lease. He kept threatening to come back and get the copies of the keys so he could come in and...
Madam, where were you the last 2 years?
The last 2 years, I've had my own apartment and house, and I've working and going to school.
I mean, but where were you in the last 2 years? If you moved out in February of 2006, now we're talking about a year ago.
Yes.
Where were you in this last year?
I was trying to collect money from him, but...
But he weren't collecting. He didn't give you any money.
Exactly, I couldn't.
Well, then why didn't you sue him in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December? Why?
I was trying to be understanding of his situation with his car and everything like that, and he couldn't hold a job, so there's no way that he could give me any money.
What made you stop being understanding?
Well, because I'm just tired. It's ridiculous.
You lived in the apartment with sometimes Tracy? You pay the rent. What else?
He damaged my property, my couch, and stabbed my comforter.
Forget the comforter. I'm not interested in the 2-year-old comforter. How did he damage your couch?
He poured beer and dip spit all over it.
When?
On November 21st.
That's not true, ma'am.
You have a witness to that?
I do.
Go ahead.
On the day of November 21st, Desiree called me crying. I got over there. There was a gigantic hole in the wall when I walked in. The entire living room was trashed, stuff everywhere, food thrown around.
Where was he?
He was nowhere to be found.
Well, so you didn't see him do anything?
He was there that morning.
He was there that morning.
Just a second. You didn't see him do anything?
No, I didn't see him do anything, but the people that had stayed the night prior to that had seen him come over that morning.
Goodbye. Thank you. You have that Mr. Tatum was the cause of any damage to your property.
Well, because he called me screaming after he did it.
What did he say?
I can't believe you had those guys stay the night.
What guys is he talking about?
We had been drinking at my apartment. I had friends stay the night.
How many friends?
2. They had slept on the couch. And that's when he came over that morning to get his things.
Yes.
And he freaked out.
How do you know that?
Well, because they told me they were there. And then he came in with a tire iron and hit the wall.
What?
And poured everything on my couch.
You have absolutely no proof that he did any of that. And if you have 2 friends that you allowed to sleep at your house after they were drinking who witnessed him do it...
They didn't witness him do it. They witnessed him come in and make a scene, and then they left, and then he came back after that. He told me. I talked to him on the phone afterwards.
Did you ever acknowledge to her that you destroyed her property?
No, ma'am.
Time to move on. Time to move on and get over it. Do you understand?
Yes.
This is a court, not nonsense. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Anne Marie Fessler claims former roommate James Hill stole money earmarked to bail her boyfriend out of jail. James says Anne Marie is making up a story.
Ms. Fessler, this young man is your boyfriend's nephew. Your boyfriend was in jail. Is he still in jail?
Yes.
What is he in jail for?
We had gotten into an argument in a restaurant parking lot, and he hit me, and the cops were called. He was locked up, and they're holding him for old warrants that he had.
Outstanding warrants for what?
One was a shoplifting charge from 95. One was a drug charge and something else. I think it had something to do with the drug charge. I'm not exactly sure what.
Do you know what he's in jail for?
Them fighting all the time, and like they're just very dysfunctional. Like,
well, they may be very dysfunctional, but that's not the only reason he's in jail. In any event, it is your claim that you gave him some money to bail out your boyfriend, that he didn't bail out your boyfriend, but he stole your money. And then you think he took some other money from an ATM card. Some convoluted story. In any event, Mr. Hill said, I took $600 to go and bail out my uncle that you did give him. And when he got to the prison to bail him out, it was more than that. So he gave you back your $600. He doesn't know anything about any other stolen money. He says he doesn't know why you would think that he would take property that belongs to you. Okay, Ms. Fessler, when was your boyfriend arrested for domestic violence?
November 24th of 2006.
And when did you call Mr. Hill about giving him money to go bail him out?
I called him and told him what the bail was. He told me to give him the money that I had, and he would see what he can do about getting the rest to go bail him out. I had $700 on me at the time.
Where'd you get $700 from?
Every month I get $400 from the state. They give me I'm on a rental assistance and welfare. They gave me $400. We saved $200 every month for the last 3 months.
Just a second. They give you $400 for what?
For my kids from welfare every month.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
So the state gives you $400 a month to feed and take care of your children. And you saved $200.
I was taking $200 out every month for my kids' Christmas, and the other $200 I was using to buy their diapers and stuff every month.
What other money comes into your house?
That's all the money that we have.
No. Impossible.
They were paying...
Impossible.
They were paying our rent.
You, the boyfriend, the 2 children, living on, according to you, $50 a week, because if they send $400 and you're saving $200, that means that the 4 of you are living on $50 a week, unless the boyfriend is selling drugs.
No, they were paying our rent also. We were getting rental assistance, too, from welfare. They were also paying our rent, and that was $800 a month that they were paying for us.
So they're paying rent. That still leaves you $50 a week to feed.
We were also receiving food stamps from them, too. We were getting $500 in food stamps, too.
So were you selling those?
No.
What were you doing with them?
Buying food and formula for my son and my daughter.
And what was the boyfriend doing?
He was trying to find a job.
When was the last time he actually found a job?
In the summertime.
Doing what?
He was working for a trucking company.
And what happened to that job?
He lost his job because he was late too many days.
Why was he late?
Because I was sick, I was pregnant, so he was staying home to help take care of me and my daughter while I was pregnant with my son.
But you had been receiving welfare for a long time, right?
Yes.
So why wasn't he working and getting you off welfare before you got pregnant with the last baby?
We were having a lot of problems. They were trying to help us out with everything that we could. We were moving back and forth from place to place. We were having problems with my first landlord.
Listen, the government wants to give away their money to families who are actually living together. That is something that I am not going to rectify in my lifetime, although I would like to try. What I resent is welfare is supposed to provide people with their basic necessities, not enough money to save. You know, people who earn $25,000, $30,000 a year can't put away $200 a month because they have to use that money to pay for rent, gas, electric, telephone, medical, all kinds of other things, medicines, you know, so even if you're working and working hard and earning a moderate amount of money, you can't save $200 a month. Here, you're saving $200 a month on the taxpayer for Christmas presents. That's ridiculous, if I believed you. So, go ahead. So you had saved $600 so far for Christmas, and you gave him the $600.
I gave him the $600 and told him to go down and to the bail bondsman, and they said that they would take $600 to get him out. I gave him the $600. I couldn't go down there. They said that I had to be at least 23 to sign the papers. I'm not 23, so I couldn't take the money down there and sign it.
How old are you?
I'm 21. So I asked him to take the money down there. He said his sister would co-sign with him. Supposedly they took the money down there. He called me back and told me that the bail bondsman wanted more money, that a charge from New York came up on him. So I went...
He's sub-Butte. So he's got stuff from where? Where do you live?
Trenton, New Jersey.
So you live in New Jersey? Well, it's not far from New York to New Jersey. He gets around. What happened to the $600, Mr. Hill?
All right, Your Honor. First of all, everything she said is bogus.
Listen to me. I asked you a question.
Yes.
I said,
yes,
what happened to the she gave you $600.
Yes, she
that
did.
you agree with?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
My question is a simple one, Mr. Hill. And I'm getting hungry.
Okay.
You understand? What happened to the $600?
It went right back into her hand, Your Honor.
When?
Right after I tried, my witness here, Miss Irvin, she took me to the police station to bail him out. When they told me it was not enough money, I then, plus 155 of my own, because she asked for extra money to go help pay the fines off before he can get bailed out. I never even asked her for that money back. The following morning, she tells me the money's missing, someone's stolen the money. I have nothing to do with that.
She told you that someone stole that $600?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, he got up in the morning and came downstairs and told me that in the middle of the night he found my front door to my apartment standing wide open. He said the apartment got cold, he came down, used the bathroom, and the door was standing open to my apartment. I was going to my room to go see where my money was. My money was gone. He claimed that somebody came in and took the money.
Miss Fessler, you following what I'm saying, madam?
Yeah,
I want
but
you to
I'm
listen
saying
to me very carefully.
what he's saying is
I want
true.
you to listen to me very carefully. We're starting with this premise, Miss Fessler, that the money you gave him, the $600, to bail out your boyfriend, right, was money that the government intended for your children. That's what the taxpayers gave you the money for, to feed and clothe your children, not to use for Christmas presents, and certainly not to use to bail out your drug addict boyfriend. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Now, it matters not to me, and I'm telling this to you from the bottom of my heart. If he stole that money and used it for, I don't know, bought a whole new outfit, had his hair done, I don't know, whatever he did with the money, right? That to me is no worse than what you did, taking the money away from your children to go bail out your boyfriend. What difference does it make to me as a representative of the government? What happened to the misappropriated money? It wasn't meant for your boyfriend. Put your hand down. By giving the money away for bail, you are stealing the money from your children. You can't do that. You get it? Good. So I am totally disinterested with what happened to the $600. All I know is, as a taxpayer, one thing remains firm. The boyfriend is probably where he belongs, and the $600 was going to get misused, whoever used it, you or him. And I don't care. I got other fish to fry today. What difference does it make to me is whose con it is, his or yours? Now, what other money do you claim he took from you?
He took $200 from the Red Cross that they had gave me. My apartment had burnt down on December 4th. We both were given cards from the Red Cross. I had 722. He received 200 and something. I don't know exactly how much. I had asked him to come into the hotel room with me for a minute to watch my kids while I went to go call my mom. I came back in to get my kids. My mom was taking us to New York to go to court with her.
For what?
She's having a problem with two of my other sisters in New York.
Listen to me. Get to the story. The Red Cross gave you money, and you claim that he took out some money from that card.
I got to New York to take the money off the card so I could buy my daughter something to wear. My card was not there. He was the only person in the room. I have a police report stating where the money came from. It came from an ATM machine from a store that's right down the street from where he lives. I never told him the money came from an ATM machine from a store. When I called him, he told me that there's no ATM machine in the store down the street. I never said anything about a store to him.
Did you steal any money from her Red Cross card?
No, ma'am. You had the cards that they gave us. They give you and only you an access code to those cards. You understand? She asked me to watch the children. My room was 2 doors down from her. I kindly came, watched the children. How can I take something within a matter of seconds?
They have an envelope. They give you the card.
I don't know. All I'm asking you is, did you take her money?
No, ma'am.
They put the card inside of an envelope. They put the card inside an envelope, and on the envelope is the PIN number. He knew it too because they gave him the same thing.
So we had the same PIN card?
Just a second. Do you work?
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Shh. I don't want to. Who do you work for?
I work for National Fidelity. I work. It's like it's a loan off. I'm a junior loan officer.
Do you get paid a weekly salary?
Yes.
How much?
I earn $600 a week.
Really?
Yes.
What's the name of your boss?
John. Oh, that's his first name.
What's his phone number?
Excuse me?
Excuse me, phone number. What word didn't you
I
understand?
I don't know the phone
What's
number.
your work
offhand.
phone number?
Excuse me? My work phone number.
Yeah, that would be another.
Like,
what word didn't you understand?
Your Honor, everything is
people
stored
deserve
in my
each other.
phone.
Miss Fessler, your case is dismissed. Listen, when the government wants to give people money, the government intends for the people to use that money for its intended purpose. The fact that your Red Cross, also money that you never earned, the Red Cross, I'm speaking, you lost your house with money that was given to you by the state.
But he still took it from me.
I don't know whether he did or not.
My sister was there with me. He admitted, he told my sister
Oh,
that
different
he had
story.
the money.
Come. Your name?
Tia Dixon.
Where do you live?
I live with my boyfriend.
And what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm going to school right now.
What school do you go to?
Mercer County Community College.
How many credits do you take?
I
would know that.
She just started.
I just started. I start back next Monday for the second semester.
So you're not... Oh, please. All right, you say that this young man admitted he took money from you.
He admitted it. When she called him about it, he admitted to her that he took it.
How do you know that?
Because I was...
Don't speak. Because?
Because I was sitting there.
Sitting where?
I was sitting with her.
Yes.
And he admitted that he took the money and he started cussing her out.
What do you mean, you were on the phone?
Yeah, on the phone. She had chirped him up and she said that she wanted her money back. He said, first he started cussing her out. He said, stop calling me about this. You call me about this one more time, you and your kids. He said, I got the money, you not getting it back. And before I even heard all of that, she called me and said she was going to finally get her money back. She went down to the bail bondsman to wait for him.
I'm not talking about the bail bondsman. You didn't understand what I said about the bail bondsman. I'm talking about the ATM.
The ATM card. He went and he took the money off the card. He said that he took it. He admitted
tell you
it
that
about
he took it?
He was on the phone with her and he
Again,
admitted.
just a second. He was on the phone again with her at a different time.
It was a week ago. This happened a week ago.
Ms. Fessler, your case is dismissed. I'm not happy with anybody here. Why don't you all spend a little more time trying to do something productive and a little less time figuring out how to scam the system. Goodbye.
Christine Lawson is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Lemos, for the cost of a big screen TV they purchased as a couple. Joseph says when they broke up, Christine kept the TV.
Miss Lawson, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend. You lived together for a period of time. Something happened while you were living together with your TV. You claimed that he wanted to buy a big screen TV. You put it on a credit card. You allowed him to use the credit card. He used it not only for the TV, but for some other things. He paid for the other things that he used. Ultimately, he paid off the credit card up to the amount of the TV after you broke up, and then he stopped paying for the TV. You want him to pay for the television. Sounds very reasonable, right?
Yes.
Except that you have the TV.
Correct.
So, I'm confused. Mr. Lema says that he did, in fact, use the credit card to purchase some other things. Even after you broke up, he continued to make payments on the credit card until he had paid off all of the items he had purchased, but for the television.
Correct.
And the reason he didn't pay for the television is because you have the television. When did you break up?
It's about April or May of 2006.
And when was the television purchased?
August of 2004.
So you've been watching the television?
Correct.
In your house?
Yes.
Why don't you pay for it?
I never wanted it. I don't like it. I would love to give it back to him, but I don't have, I'm using it as collateral, I guess, to get the rest of the money that he owes me.
The only money that's owed is owed for the television.
Not entirely.
Most of it is for the television.
I guess you could say that.
So what you want me to believe, Miss Lawson, is that he said to you, you can keep this $3,000 television and watch it, and I'm going to make the payments on it.
No, that's not how the conversation actually...
Well, tell me how the conversation actually went.
Okay. When we broke up, there was still about $4,000 on the credit card, which, as you said, there was multiple things on there. He was paying me up until September of 2006.
Correct, and then he
payments.
stopped. Right.
And he wanted to take his TV, which would have been fine to me. However, I couldn't guarantee that I would get the rest of the money that he owed me if I handed over the TV. I had no way of contacting him. I had no cell phone number. The only way I had was email. Most of the emails that I had sent him were ignored.
He paid you for the 6 months.
Well, he was paying on multiple things. That wasn't the only thing on there.
He paid the credit card honorably.
Correct.
Until the only thing left was a television that you were watching.
Well, the television was...
And he wanted it back when you broke up.
Correct.
Well, then you're watching it. You pay for it. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Well, the amount owed on the credit card exceeded what the amount of the television was.
When?
When we broke up, when he stopped
but
paying.
Come on, Miss Lawson. I just made it perfectly clear to you that there's an agreed set of facts, and the agreed set of facts are he paid until September, when the only thing that remained on the credit card was the television set, which he had initially asked for when you broke up, which you declined to give him, which you've been watching and you've been using. You pay for it. That's all. Case is dismissed. That's all.